the place I'm coming from. I've been high, I've been low, fought the demons in my soul. You don't know how much I've already been through. Stand proud, never backing down. Hard work till they put me in the dirt. So you're gonna learn, you get what you deserve. And I stand my ground, never backing down. Oh yeah. Cut my teeth on streets nobody wants to go through. Earn these stripes made of lines that can't be undone. I've been high, I've been low, and the proof is in my bones. You don't know how much I've already been through. Stand proud, never backing down. Hard work till they put me in the dirt. So you're gonna learn, you get what you deserve. And I stand my ground, never backing down. Never backing down. Oh no. Never backing down.
Hey, buddy. We didn't even go into the whole intro or anything like that. You're still sharing out stuff. I don't
Yeah.
care. This
Sorry,
is a
man.
quick pop in for tonight. There was an announcement made that the City Council of Bella Vista, Arkansas, is actually going to hold a special meeting. We'll go over to the web share real quick.
An emergency.
An
meeting.
emergency. What is such emergent about this? But they're going to hold a special meeting at 3 p.m. tomorrow while most average Americans are working, right? Their average American is working at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, but they're going to hold this special meeting Wednesday, tomorrow, July 12th at Bella Vista District Court, 2483 Forest Hills Boulevard. And we can see the agenda. Don't worry, we're going to go look at that agenda in a minute. But,
how many times have we
perturbed. I'm really perturbed by the announcement. I got a phone call about 2 o'clock this afternoon about a special meeting being called. And what were my thoughts on it? I said, well, that's bullshit. There's a meeting, there's a regular work session happening on Monday. So what is the emergent issue being called to have a special meeting where the general public can't make time to go to it and view it, and also no public comment?
Yep. So it's
right.
Yeah, it's like, but it's like by design. I can think of numerous times we've had this discussion about having it at 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night.
Being transparent or being available and actually like adjusting your schedule to accommodate the average American in 2023's schedule, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to the citizens of Bella Vista not be able
this is
to
disingenuous
go.
by city
3 o'clock.
leadership. It's disingenuous by city leadership, 100%, to pull these shenanigans. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll go into what they're doing, and this is very important because I think we talked about the ruling that the judge did, right?
Well, we've been talking about this overreach for about over a year now. And it looks like we're going to be talking about it for another year.
All right.
Because it just keeps on.
So if you remember, there was a lawsuit
Right.
establishing a temporary restraining order. And it was ratified by a judge. And a judge actually said, yeah, the city of Bella Vista is operating unconstitutionally with their ordinance regarding short-term rentals.
Correct.
But if you remember, general counsel, city prosecutor, whatever title he feels to throw out, and I call him Perry Mason Jr. Because he's gotten it right so far, right? Not really.
Yeah.
But I call him Perry Mason Jr. He was so confident that he was going to win this, but then a judge actually ruled in his favor, saying that what you guys are doing is unconstitutional. And so right there at that point, when a judge initiates that motion and says, the city of Bella Vista and their government is operating unconstitutionally and exploiting people in their purview, right?
Yeah.
Right there, I don't know. I lose a little bit of respect for those people because we've been talking about this for over a year, right?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
We've been talking about it. We've been talking about using common sense and using common sense legislation, policies, the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah.
Actually engaging with the people that might be impacted by the ordinance that you enact, but they only want to engage with the select few, such as, Doug Fowler talking to people at church and stuff. But we find out the fact that, he's actually toting a narrative.
Right.
So I don't know why this stuff is emergent right now. I'm in full disclosure, people, I'm a little fired up because this is not why I served the United States Army. This crap going on in the United States is not why I signed that check. It's not. And it's happening all over the United States. It's happening in every faction of politics.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it.
Well, it's not representative government, Chris, at the end of the day.
No.
It's the sad part about this is the judge made it clear that they overstepped their bounds. And thanks, Robin. And they continue to overreach. We talked about this before this even happened. We got to the law, so we talked about this. You can't target specific groups. We knew this was going to be unconstitutional.
Where the hell is the ADL, right? If this was like black people can't rent, but white people can, the ADL would be here, right? But we're you cannot discriminate against any class, and that is factual. That is law. And so we're saying long-term rentals don't have to abide by these rules, but short-term rentals do. It's classism, and I'm sick of classism. The rule of law should apply equally across the board. Across the board, bro.
Totally agree with you. What's frustrating here is this is going to cost the city and the state taxpayers money because of this. The incompetence that we're seeing right now is going to cost a lot of money to straighten this mess out. We tried to help them not to fall into these pitfalls, and they did.
Look, man,
they just
at the end of the day, man,
and now they're doubling down.
No, don't jump. Don't do that, bro. Right? Like we've been talking about it for a year, and they still chose their path, but we're still giving them an out because what they're doing now by trying to thumb their nose at the judge, and we'll get into that in a minute. Right? Here's what the judge said. This was on the recent ruling. It was filed. She finally filed it. This is where it goes. All right. The judge said,
almost constitutional law, man.
26th day of June 2023 came before this court. The plaintiff's motions for temporary restraining order with plaintiffs represented by Gregory F. Payne of Story Law Firm, PLLC, and represented by Jason B. Kelly, staff attorney for the city of Bella Vista, Arkansas, also known as Perry Mason Jr. Pursuant to Rule 65 of Arkansas Rules of Civil Procedure and motion for temporary restraining order, the court finds as follows. Based upon the argument of counsel, the law cited by both plaintiff and defendant in their respective filings with the court, The testimony and evidence presented herein, it is the finding of the court that the plaintiffs have private property rights that are protected by the Arkansas Constitution as well as the United States Constitution.
What's that?
And that ordinance 2022-18 of the city of Bella Vista, as currently written, violates the plaintiff's rights as individual property owners, thereby constituting irreparable harm for purposes of injunction relief.
Yep.
Quit letting these guys bully you, because they're getting ready to do it again with their special meeting.
Well, and the purpose of injunctive relief is, like, I think you mentioned this before, there's going to be monetary repercussions for this.
I'm so sick of these guys
just
like this, not humbling themselves a little bit
Right.
and just saying, man, dude, we overreached. We were hungry. But why call a special session? That's the question that people should be asking. Why call a
Right.
special meeting? Well,
Right.
here's what they want to do. Here's their agenda for tomorrow's special meeting while you guys are all working. Right? While everybody's working, probably not even watching social media, probably didn't give a notification. The only reason we got a notification was what? Because we FOIA'd their asses and said we want to be media. And
Right.
it hit our inbox when they did the media notification per
And
FOIA rules.
And we have several people that were nice enough to pass it on to us.
Yeah.
And I know there's times me and you are doing different things, and we don't get into the emails, and people were gracious enough to send us that information. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate, like council members calling out, "Did you see it? What? What are you talking about, man? I got my head buried in work, man. But I take time for the people that I care about, and that's the people of our community. And so I started digging into this after work, and I started looking, and I've got some opinions about this. I ain't a lawyer. I'm not offering legal advice. I'm just offering the advice of the common man. But I'm going to tell you what, this stuff doesn't pass the sniff test of using the emergency clause, because that's reserved for public health and safety. And nothing in the ordinance that they're proposing, well, the one that they're proposing to repeal that the judge says was unconstitutional. But their general counsel, let's get to his own words.
What?
His own words. Let's get to that first before I comment.
Basically in a standstill on that. My recommendations to you, do not make any further changes to it. Don't do anything to it. Let's let this play out in the courts. And then,
So he got done telling them, let it play
Let
out.
him finish his piece.
And look at whatever you might want to look at. I just, since I'm already got the microphone on this topic, I did get a draft of the order, and I wish, one of the disadvantages I have here is that the judge did not provide a lot of rationale for the ruling. The judge, and I'll
Lack of
go ahead and
rationale.
provide this to you, based on argument of counsel.
I would argue that we have an incompetent city attorney who's advising our city council to do unconstitutional stuff, right?
It's costing the city money, the taxpayers' money.
It is costing
Chris.
the city taxpayers money. Don't forget, they tried to use eminent domain against Phillips 66, which ended up costing the taxpayer way more money, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, for that Mercy Way Bridge stuff. Thank you, Peter Christie. Your legacy.
Yeah,
is
that was
frickin'
Pete. That was
still
his going away
on,
present
right?
to us.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
we won't forget that.
No, I look. I'm calling it like I see it, man. I'm a straight up shooter. If I screw up, I screw up.
You own it. Own it.
I own
What's ironic here is he's going to appeal the state Supreme Court, but yet they have the emergency clause in place that he's aware of, and they changed the ordinances, and he approved them.
Oh yeah, they're doing whatever they. This
So
is
what is it?
Like
What-
this is such a cluster. Like in the Army, we would call it a cluster. But I'm gonna try to be like I'm gonna try to not get banned for using hateful words, because that's a thing coming too, right? Michigan passed you can't use, it's hate speech. They passed a hate speech. Like look, there's hateful speech. There's confrontation speech. But you know what? As long as the First Amendment exists, I'm going to still use it, bro. So what I'm saying is we are being governed in Bella Vista by a plethora of buffoons, right? Yeah. They can't even humble themselves when a judge says, you guys reached out and did a constitutional overreach. What are they going to do? I'll defend it. I'll take it to the Supreme Court. But then a week later, what are they doing? Oh,
switching an ordinance.
We're going to switch it up with a special meeting where the general public is nonetheless aware, right? And any city council meeting member that goes into this meeting tomorrow and votes and says, why can't this wait till Monday?
So
is an ass.
The
and
original ordinance,
you better watch out because you won't get elected again. You won't.
The original ordinance, when they put it out, me and you, we talked about this numerous times, an overstep of our state constitution, the U.S. Constitution.
We've been talking about this.
If we knew that, then the city attorney should have known that. Why did they submit it anyway?
Mark, the first meeting that we went to was that public input session, and that was in May last year.
Right.
We're in July, a year later, still talking about this stuff. It has to be fair and equitable. It has to not be selective. It has to be equally applied across the whole spectrum of residents, taxpayers, the whole 9 yards, right? So you're telling me that the city can impose a permit for a short-term rental person, but a long-term rental person doesn't have to pay the same fees. Seems like a constitutional infringement on private property rights. Right?
Yeah, and that's what the judge said.
You see what happens whenever you say, you have to live within 50 miles. Well, let's go ahead and go to the United States Constitution. Article 5, Article 14. You have the right to live where the hell you want to and traverse all of the United States, right? Again, don't tell me I got to be somewhere when I got to be somewhere, especially if you work for the government.
Yeah. Right? So I look at the situation being somewhat like Pete used to like to do. He liked to push things through and see how much he could get away with. And I think this is what's happening.
Well, and he did that though. Remember, he passed some ordinances, and finally councilman
he did it again.
Jerry Snow said, well, actually, if you're going to look at the metric ratio of people voting, your vote still didn't meet the metrics for actually passing because you're not a sitting board member. As the mayor, he has no weight. But they were doing that. And how many years have they done it? And passed stuff and pulled the sheet over your head. You guys need to be watching these shysters. They're pulling up something that a judge said was unconstitutional. They're thumbing their nose at it. The only emergency behind it is that they lost, and they know they lost, but they can't even humble themselves just a little bit and say, man, we screwed up. No, what are they doing? This is the definition of a tyrant.
Doubling down.
When a tyrant gets challenged and loses, they double down. 100%.
That's what's happening. This is what
they're afraid to lose power.
It goes back to what I said before. If there was personal accountability, this wouldn't happen. If you were on the hook for it and it cost you money, you wouldn't be pulling this stunt. But the fact of the matter is, they're on house money, Chris.
It ain't coming out of their pocket. It's coming out of your pocket, bro.
Right.
I guarantee you the next school millage increase, it's going to pay for the lawsuit. These guys are such shysters. They don't get that they're above reproach. They don't care. I seen them. I watched them doing the stump dump, man. The same lot of them. They're all cut from the same freaking cloth. They really are. And I'm so sick of like watching this stuff. And I feel sorry for people who don't see it. But they did it. They did it to people to the tune of a $6.5 million freaking lawsuit being awarded.
Yeah. Well, this situation is going to be the same way. I mean,
because they were incompetent.
I expect to see this. This will go on for a few years, I'm sure. I mean, and they're going to be found guilty of blatant overreach, of people's property rights.
At the end of the day, man, I just want to be left alone. At the end of the day, if I call for police services, you better show up. If I call for fire services, you better show up. I'm not the guy putting my freaking, saying the dam's leaking, the dam's leaking, the dam's leaking. I'm not that guy. I take care of shit on my own, right? But you know what? If I'm paying taxes and I can't get a cop to show up to my freaking street when somebody's actively dumping on my street, it pisses me off. If I call the fire department because there's a fire being lit at that same place where I said somebody's building Burning Man 2.0 on my freaking street, a deck, brush, the whole 9 yards piled up in a teepee style. And I called the fire department. They're like, well, we told him you can't set it on fire. But the guy still sets it on fire. They have no authority over the criminals. They're not prosecuting anybody. But you know what? What they will do, Mark, is they'll prosecute the guy for not having a permit for renting out his private property to family and friends for a weekend. They will 100% do that, but they won't take care of the bad guys. Yeah.
Well, I hope there's a good turnout tomorrow. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be able to get out there at 3:00. Kevin, hopefully, will be out there to do the video. There's no public comment, so there's no conversation that's going to be had.
No, they just do whatever the hell they want, right? Because it's a special meeting. Yep. Special meetings apply for shyster tactics, and that's what they're doing. We learned that, like I said, during the bridge, the Mercy Way Bridge. And then we found out what happened. It cost them a little bit more money. Cost us a little bit more money. It's not like they're paying for it. You're paying for it. Right. These guys are all shysters. You got to start waking up, people. That's it. What do you got? Oh, hold on. Here's the city of Bella Vista. I got some Cartman action for you.
Jeez.
Whatever, I do what I want. That's it, bro. I mean, like, they do. I mean, like, I'm so sick of this stuff. They just, they think that, like, here's the thing. They expect people to be dumb.
Yeah.
Or uninformed. Or too busy with their life. Right?
People need to continue to engage the city council and mayor and ask them these questions. People need to stay on top. You got to keep engaged in your community. You're right. This is going across the country. I mean, you got to continue to stay on top of it.
You got to start holding people accountable, man. Be transparent. Yep. Don't hold special meetings, the whole 9 yards, right? Do this stuff. There is not an emergent issue for this meeting to even happen tomorrow.
I agree. Could have waited till Monday.
3 days away, right? 3 business days away. Why is it emergent tonight? Let's see. Hopefully the message was received. If not, keep on giving us that content, John.
All right,
That's
everybody.
all I got to say. We done.
Have a great night.
Have a great night. Sorry for the late post and all that, but no, this is the way the real world works. People are watching, always watching, and we see you for who you are, and not representative governments. Just saying.
Totally agree.
All right. Well, on that note, bro, wish everybody good night.
Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
All right. We'll see you on the next one. Later.
Take a stand.